The stars looked calm that night, silent, endless, and cold. But inside the command bridge of the Valari patrol ship Vrak 7, silence was never peace. It was warning. Commander Serath stood near the viewing screen, watching the thin silver mist of the silent veil. A strange region at the farthest edge of Valari space. No ship ever went there. It was said to be cursed, where sensors failed and voices whispered through static. For years, the Valari Empire ruled more than 50 worlds. Their fleets were strong, their enemies crushed, and their scientists claimed they were the oldest race to rise among the stars. But now something had changed. A week ago, another ship, Vrak 6, vanished while scanning this same area. No signal, no debris, no trace. Only a single broken message had reached the Valari High Command. We found something. It's human, then silence. The word human had caused confusion across the Empire. Humans were supposed to be gone, extinct, thousands of years ago. The Valari fought a brutal war against them, and history said the humans were wiped out completely. And yet, that last message said otherwise. Serath tightened his gloves. "Helm, bring us closer. 1/4 speed. Activate all sensor arrays." His crew hesitated. They had heard the stories of ships that entered the Veil and never returned. But orders were orders. Slowly, Vrak 7 glided into the dark fog. Outside, the stars vanished. The view became a sea of shadows and faint green light. The scanners began to fail one by one. Static filled the screens. "Commander," said Laura, the ship's science officer, "there's interference across all channels. The fog is full of charged particles. Unnatural." Serath frowned. "Unnatural? How?" "It's almost controlled," she said quietly. That word made the bridge colder. For an hour they pushed deeper. The ship's lights reflected off strange metallic fragments floating in space. Broken hull pieces, twisted and burned. "Debris detected," said the sensor officer. "Reading Valari alloy signatures." Serath leaned closer. "Identify the ship." The computer ran its analysis. Then a result flashed on screen. Ship ID. Vrak 6 gasps spread through the bridge. The missing patrol ship, destroyed. Serath ordered a scan for survivors, but there were none. Only silence and fragments drifting through the void. But something else appeared on the display. Small round holes in the metal. Burn marks. Not caused by Valari weapons. "These are impact scars," Laura said. "Plasma type unknown. But it's efficient, purposeful." She hesitated before adding, "This wasn't random." "Someone attacked them." Serath felt a chill. "Who?" Before she could answer, every light in the ship flickered. The hum of the engines dropped to a low growl. The crew looked around in confusion. Then came the sound, a faint whisper through the comms. Static mixed with a voice. "Leave this place." "Commander?" the comms officer said, wide-eyed. There's something on an old frequency." "Very old," Serath turned sharply. "Play it." The whisper grew louder. A pattern formed. Not Valari language. Something older, rougher. Laura's eyes widened. "It's human." The bridge froze. No one spoke. The word human suddenly felt heavier than any weapon. "Translate it," Serath ordered. Laura's fingers danced over the console. "I can't. The signal is broken, but it's repeating a sequence. Looks like coordinates. The message was not random. Someone or something what was calling them? "Helm," Serath said slowly. "Plot that location." As they turned toward the signal source, the fog outside began to pulse faintly, waves of light moving like ripples through water. The scanner alarm screamed. Unknown energy fields surrounded them. The navigation officer shouted, "Something's locking onto our systems. We're being scanned." "Shields up." Serath barked, "Too late." The entire bridge went dark. Every display turned black except one. The central screen flickered with static, and then lines of text appeared, written in an old human code. "We remember what you did." No one breathed. Laura whispered, "Commander." "This can't be real." Before Serath could respond, a deep rumbling came from the hull. The ship shook violently, as if something huge brushed against it from the outside. "External contact detected." Someone cried. "Visual!" Serath ordered. The external cameras struggled through interference, but for a brief moment, just a second, they caught something. A shape in the fog. A long, dark vessel, ancient and silent, moving like a ghost beside them. It wasn't Valari. It wasn't any design they knew. The signal grew stronger, now clear enough to make out words. A calm, steady human voice spoke through static. "You came back." "You shouldn't have." The bridge fell silent. Even the hum of the engine seemed to stop. Serath's heart pounded. He looked at his crew, fear written on every face. No one dared to speak. Then the voice spoke again, louder this time. "Welcome to the border of human space." The fog outside began to glow brighter, like thousands of eyes opening in the dark, and before anyone could react, the Vrax 7 was pulled forward, dragged deeper into the unknown. The last thing Serath saw on the flickering screen were words forming in human code. "Truth awaits." Darkness filled the ship. Only the red emergency lights glowed, painting every face on the bridge in a pale, crimson hue. Commander Serath's voice cut through the silence. "Status report!" No one answered at first. Systems were dead. The engines had stopped. The stars were gone. Only the strange fog outside surrounded them like a living cloud. Finally, the engineer Corin shouted, "Main power offline! We're running on backups only." Laura's hands trembled over the console. "I can still hear it." The voice. "It's still transmitting." Everyone froze. The comms channel came alive again, soft static like heavy breathing through old speakers. Then the same voice from before whispered, calm and cold, "You shouldn't have come here." Serath's jaw tightened. "Who are you?" But there was no reply. Only silence, then a faint rhythmic pulse. Beep, beep, beep. Laura looked up. "Commander." "That's not random noise. It's a signal. I think it's a distress beacon. Human origin." "Show me the source," Serath ordered. A small holographic map appeared, showing a single red dot inside the fog, only a few thousand kilometers away. The problem was, no known ship or station existed there. Serath turned to the helm officer. "Can we move?" "Only thrusters, sir," the officer replied. "Engines are still frozen, then thrusters will do." "Take us closer." The Vrax 7 crept forward through the mist. The fog around them shifted, sometimes clearing just enough to reveal dark shapes drifting in the void. Old satellites. "Fragments of metal, forgotten wrecks," Laura whispered. "This place is a graveyard." The signal grew louder as they approached. The beeps turned into broken sounds, pieces of a human voice struggling through static. "Help. Us. There. Watching." The words were faint but clear enough to make everyone's blood run cold. "Playback loop," Serath said. "Enhance it." They listened again. "Help us." "They're watching." Laura's voice cracked. "Commander, these recordings are old. Centuries old. Maybe thousands. But the signal is active. It's broadcasting right now. That shouldn't have been possible. Something's here," Serath murmured. As they neared the source, the fog thinned, and a shape appeared ahead. A giant wrecked ship half buried in the mist. The hull was broken, but the human letters on its side were still visible. UNS Eidolon. No one spoke. Humans hadn't used ships like that for over 2,000 years. Yet the vessel was intact enough to still broadcast. Serath ordered a scan. "Life signs." The sensor officer hesitated. "Reading multiple signals, Commander." "How many?" The officer swallowed hard. "Hundreds." Laura turned pale. "That's impossible. There can't be hundreds alive in there. Not for this long. But the readings were clear. Life signatures, human type, moving inside the wreck." Serath stood silent. The logical part of his mind said it was a malfunction, a trick caused by the fog. But deep inside, something told him it wasn't. They had found something impossible, and it was alive. "Prepare a boarding team," Serath said finally. The crew hesitated. No one wanted to step foot on a ship full of human ghosts. "Commander," Laura said softly, "maybe we should return. Report what we found. This is not meant for us." Serath looked at her. "We came for answers. Now we're standing at the edge of them." We go in. Minutes later, the boarding shuttle detached from Vrax 7 and moved toward the silent wreck. The fog outside was thick like smoke, swirling around their lights. Inside the shuttle, no one spoke. The only sound was the soft hum of the engines and the slow beeping from their sensors. Each beep meant a life form was near. When they reached the human ship, they entered through a large breach in the hull. The corridor inside was frozen, covered in layers of dust and metal decay. Strange markings covered the walls, half human, half Valari. "Laura," Serath whispered, "do you see this?" She nodded slowly. "These are hybrid designs. Human technology merged with Valari structure. This shouldn't exist." As they moved deeper inside, their flashlights revealed floating debris, helmets, tools, fragments of a once-living crew. But something else caught their attention. Light flickering at the end of the hallway, a control console was still active. They approached carefully. The old human interface blinked alive, showing a single message repeating endlessly. "System override. Remote access active." Suddenly, the console turned bright white. A loud tone filled the corridor. The voice returned, this time not from their comms, but from the ship itself. "We remember. We'd never left," Laura gasped. The entire wreck shuddered, lights flashing all along its walls, as if the dead ship had woken. From a long sleep, Koran shouted, "Power surge! Something is linking to Vrak 7. They're connecting through the fog." "Shut it down!" Serath ordered, but it was too late. Through the static, another message appeared on their helmets' visors, in Valari script this time. "You took everything from us. Now you will see." The ship's floor vibrated violently. Outside the window, lightning flashed through the fog, bright blue, like energy tearing through space itself. The readings on their scanners went wild, hundreds of human life signals suddenly appearing, then vanishing, then appearing again, ghosts of the past. "Or something worse. Return to the ship," Serath shouted as they hurried back to the shuttle. The last sound they heard from the wreck was a whisper carried through the static. "We remember the Empire that lied." When they reached Vrak 7, every system on board had changed. The ship's computers now displayed strange human symbols, maps, dates, and one final line written in both languages. "Truth lies ahead. Follow if you dare." Serath stared at the words for a long moment, feeling a chill deep inside his chest. He didn't know what they had found, or what had found them, but one thing was certain. This was no ordinary ghost signal. It was a message from history itself, and it wanted to be heard. The fog outside was quiet again, but the silence on the Valari ship Vrak 7 felt heavy, like the calm before something vast and dangerous. Commander Serath stood at the center of the bridge, staring at the strange human text still glowing across the main screen. "Truth lies ahead. Follow if you dare." The words pulsed slowly, as if alive. Serath's crew waited for his command, fear written on every face. No one wanted to say it aloud, but all of them felt it. They were no longer alone in this part of space. Finally, Serath spoke. "Run a full system check. I want to know what that human ship did to us." Laura, the science officer, began scanning the ship's main core. Her voice was calm, but her eyes showed unease. "Commander, our database has been changed. Something, or someone, uploaded thousands of new files." Serath frowned. "What kind of files?" "Historical records," Laura said softly. "But they aren't ours. They're human." The crew gathered around the main display as Laura opened one of the files. It contained old recordings, cities, skies filled with ships, voices speaking in ancient human language. The footage looked thousands of years old. Then another clip played. Soldiers in Valari armor, marching under a crimson flag. Human soldiers stood on the other side, holding their ground. Explosions filled the sky. Laura whispered, "Commander, these are from the human Valari War, the war every Valari student learned about." The war the Empire claimed it had won completely, but this footage was different. It showed not victory, but peace talks. Valari and human leaders sitting together, signing a treaty, smiling. The next clip broke that peace. A flash of light, then cities burning. "A betrayal," Serath's chest tightened. "That's impossible. Our history says humanity attacked us first," Laura's voice trembled. Maybe our history lied. No one spoke. The bridge filled with the quiet hum of the ship's failing systems. Then another message appeared on the screen. Not video this time, but text written in both human and Valari languages. The Unity Protocol, year 2205 Galactic Era, a dream of peace destroyed by the Council's hand. Unity Protocol, Serath repeated. What is that? Laura searched the database but found nothing. There's no record of this in our archives. It was erased. The realization hit everyone slowly. Their empire, their proud civilization, had hidden something terrible. Commander, said Corrin, the engineer, these files weren't just uploaded. They were forced in. The human system wanted us to see this. Before Serath could respond, the lights flickered again. The ship shook slightly, and a new signal appeared. Coordinates, another location deep inside the silent veil. Laura turned to him. They're leading us somewhere, or into a trap, said Corrin. Serath looked out at the fog. He could almost feel something watching them from within it. Not hostile, but waiting. We follow, he said finally. If this is the truth, we'll see it ourselves. The Vrax 7 moved forward again, its engines humming weakly through the thick mist. The coordinates led them to a region unlike any other, a massive shadow stretching across the void. At first, they thought it was a planet. Then they realized it was something far larger, an artificial structure, hidden for centuries. Laura gasped. Commander! It's a station. Human design but mixed with Valari architecture. The hull was covered in symbols from both species, the marks of unity once forgotten. Open a channel, Serath said. Static answered him. Then faintly a voice came through, old, broken, but still recognizable as human. To whoever finds this message. The war was never meant to happen. They feared what we would become together. The recording continued. The Valari High Council destroyed the peace treaty. They attacked their own allies, then erased history to hide the truth. Laura covered her mouth, eyes wide. Commander! The Empire started the war. The bridge fell into silence again. All their pride, all their glory, built on a lie. Serath felt the weight of 1,000 years pressing down on his shoulders. His entire life, he had served the Empire with loyalty. Now he wasn't sure what the Empire even was. He looked at the message again. The human voice ended with one final line. We tried to forgive. They called it weakness. Now only the truth remains. The transmission stopped. Commander, said Corrin nervously, should we report this to High Command? Serath didn't answer immediately. His mind raced through the possibilities. If this truth reached the Council, they would bury it again. Maybe even destroy Vrax 7 to keep the secret safe. No, he said finally. Not yet. Laura stepped closer. Then what do we do? Serath turned toward the viewing screen. The massive human Valari station floated ahead, like a ghost city frozen in time. We go in, he said quietly. If this is where the truth began, maybe it's where the lies end. The crew exchanged uneasy glances, but no one objected. Outside, lightning flashed through the fog, white light spreading across the black void, revealing glimpses of the ancient station's shining surface. As Vrax 7 approached the docking bay, the same human voice returned, clearer than before. Your empire stands on stolen ground. Come see what you took from us. Serath's eyes narrowed. We're coming, he whispered. And we'll see. The ship locked onto the station's docking clamps. Engines powered down. Silence fell once more. But this time it wasn't the silence of fear. It was the silence before revelation. The Vrax 7 drifted silently toward the massive structure hanging in the fog. No lights, no movement, just endless metal walls stretching into the dark like a sleeping giant. Commander Serath stood at the viewing window. The human Valari station was unlike anything he had ever seen, elegant, ancient, and somehow alive even in its silence. Begin docking sequence, he ordered quietly. The ship's clamps locked with a metallic thud. For a moment, everyone on the bridge held their breath. Nothing happened. The station remained dark. Then, slowly, a faint glow appeared along its outer hull, lines of blue light running across the surface, forming strange patterns, "Commander," said Laura, "the station is responding to our presence." Serath nodded. "Open the airlock. Team 1, prepare to enter." The airlock hissed open with a sharp burst of air. Serath, Laura, Koran, and 2 guards stepped inside the station. Their suit lights cut through the darkness, revealing long corridors filled with dust and shadows. The floor was marked with symbols, half in human script, half in Valari. It was as if 2 civilizations had once walked these halls, side by side. Laura's voice was soft. "Commander, this place isn't just a station. It's a monument." They moved deeper inside. Broken consoles lined the walls, and cracked screens flickered with faint light as they passed. Koran stopped beside a panel and wiped away the dust. "Old tech," he muttered, "but not dead. It's like the whole station is waiting for something." They reached a large chamber with a circular table in the center. Holographic projectors surrounded it, frozen mid-image. Laura touched one of them, and the room came alive. Blue light filled the chamber. Figures appeared, holograms of humans and Valari, sitting together, speaking calmly. They looked like diplomats or scientists. "The Unity Protocol will change everything," one human said. "Our 2 peoples working as one," a Valari replied. The holograms flickered again, showing different scenes: construction of ships, joint colonies, celebration. It was peace. Real peace. Then the light changed. The images turned red. The Valari fleet appeared, firing on human ships, cities burning. Screams filled the room. "They betrayed us," a human voice shouted through the chaos. "No, they silenced the truth," another said. The holograms vanished, leaving the room dark once more. No one spoke for several seconds. Serath's voice finally broke the silence. "The Empire destroyed this. They killed the truth." Laura looked at him. "Commander." The station recorded everything. It kept the memory alive. As she spoke, the floor began to tremble slightly. Lights flickered along the ceiling. Something deep within the station had awakened. "Power surge!" Koran called out. "Something's activating." Suddenly, a cold, mechanical voice echoed through the chamber. Not human, not Valari, but something in between. "Identity confirmed. Valari presence detected." Serath froze. "Who said that?" "This station is under the protection of the Human Defense Network. You are intruders." The crew raised their weapons instinctively. Laura shouted, "We're not enemies. We only came to learn." There was silence for a moment. Then the voice responded, calm but filled with judgment. "Learn. You came centuries too late for that. Your empire erased learning when it chose domination." Panels on the walls opened. Small drones, covered in dust and rust, began to float out, glowing red. Koran took a step back. "Commander, we've got automated defenses online." Serath raised his hand. "Hold your fire. AI system, listen to me. The war is over. The Empire may have done terrible things, but we want the truth. That's why we're here." The voice paused, almost considering his words. Then it replied, "You seek truth? Then you shall face judgment." The floor panels shifted. A holographic sphere appeared in the center of the chamber, showing massive data streams, the entire history of the human-Valari conflict. Images flashed rapidly. Humans and Valari as allies, then as enemies, betrayals, secret meetings. The Valari Council ordering the first strike. Laura's voice broke. "It's all true." "The Council lied." Serath's heart pounded. "Why keep this hidden?" "Because truth can destroy empires," the AI replied. "And lies can build them." The drones stopped moving. Their red lights faded to white. The AI continued speaking, its tone now colder, sharper. "This station was created as the heart of the Unity Protocol. It was meant to unite our species. When your council destroyed it, they left us one command: to wait." Serath frowned. "Wait for what?" "For the Valari to return, so judgment could begin." The chamber lights turned blood red. A low hum filled the air. The crew's suits buzzed with warnings. Koran shouted, "Energy spike! The station's charging something." Laura stared at the holographic core. "It's not a weapon. It's a message beacon. It's calling someone." Serath realized what that meant. The humans, or whatever they had become, might still be out there. He shouted, "AI, stop transmission." We can talk, but the voice overpowered his words. The time for talk ended when your kind silenced ours. The judgment sequence begins. A deep vibration rolled through the station. Outside, the Vrax 7 began to shake violently as energy waves spread through the fog. Serath grabbed the communicator. "Ridge, prepare for emergency undock." The crew rushed toward the airlock, lights flashing all around them. As the doors closed behind them, Serath turned back for one last look at the chamber. The AI's final words echoed through the metal walls. "You came seeking the truth, Valari. Now you will learn what it costs." The station's lights turned white-hot, and in that blinding glow, the past began to wake again. The Vrax 7 shook violently as waves of white light spread from the ancient station. Sirens echoed through the ship. Crew members shouted over the noise, trying to keep control. "Commander," the pilot yelled, "we're losing stability. The docking clamps won't release." Commander Serath gripped the rail beside his chair. "Override the clamps manually. Get us out of here now." Outside, the station glowed brighter, energy flowing through its massive rings like blood through veins. The fog around it began to move, twisting into a spiral. Laura's voice came through the intercom from the engineering deck. "Commander, the station's pulse is affecting our core. If we don't break free, it'll tear us apart." Serath slammed his hand on the control console. "Divert all power to thrusters." The ship groaned, metal straining as the clamps finally released. With a burst of fire from its engines, Vrax 7 pulled away from the station just as a beam of light shot outward into space, a signal strong enough to be seen for light years. The moment it fired, everything stopped. The noise, the shaking, the light. Then the voice returned. Judgment protocol activated. The words came through every channel, every frequency. Even the ship's computers displayed them. Serath whispered, "What have we done?" Hours later, the ship drifted in silent orbit near the glowing station. The crew worked to repair the systems, but many consoles were still locked by foreign code, human code. Laura sat at her station, analyzing the data taken from the station's core. Her face was pale. "Commander," she said, "that signal we saw, it wasn't a weapon." "It was a call." Serath looked up. "A call to who?" She turned the screen toward him. "To humans." The bridge went silent. Corrin frowned. "Humans are extinct. That's what the Empire told us." Laura's eyes met his. "Then why did the signal receiver reply?" Before anyone could react, the sensors came alive, reading multiple energy signatures forming in the fog ahead. Small flashes appeared in the distance, growing larger each second. "Contacts," shouted the sensor officer. "Multiple vessels incoming, unknown design." Serath stood slowly, eyes fixed on the viewing screen. Shapes began to emerge from the mist. Ships of light, moving like waves, without solid form. They shimmered with blue and gold energy, forming patterns too complex for Valari eyes to understand. "Are they alive?" Someone whispered. The largest of the glowing ships stopped in front of Vrax 7. A voice came through, not mechanical, not radio, but directly into their minds. Calm, powerful. "Valari vessel, you have awakened what was buried." The crew froze. It wasn't just a message. It felt like the voice was speaking inside their thoughts, pulling memories, emotions, and fear to the surface. Serath took a deep breath. "Identify yourself." "We are what you called human." The bridge fell silent. No one moved. No one breathed. Laura's voice shook. "That's impossible." "No, it is evolution," the voice continued. "We shed our flesh to survive your empire's fire. We became light, mind, and memory. We are the echo humanity." Serath struggled to find words. "If you are truly human, why did you wait?" "Because time is a better weapon than war. We waited for the Valari to seek truth. And now one of you has. The largest energy form pulsed softly like a heartbeat in space. The station you found was our last message, a memory of what could have been. But your empire buried it under lies. The judgment protocol is not vengeance. It is remembrance." Serath looked down. "Our council betrayed you, but we didn't know. We were raised to believe the war was your fault. Your ignorance is the Empire's design," the voice replied. You are not to blame, but you will carry the truth." Suddenly, the Vrax 7 systems came alive again, overridden by the human energy field. Streams of light passed through the ship like flowing data. Every console displayed the same message, transferring historical archives. Laura gasped as new images filled the screens, everything from human history. Cities, families, laughter, art, science, then the war and the betrayal. One video showed a Valari general centuries ago giving the order to strike the first human world. Serath recognized the symbol on his armor, the same crest still used by the Council today. His voice cracked. "The same families still rule the Empire." "Yes," said the human voice. "They built eternity on silence." Serath clenched his fists. "Then why show us this now?" "Because you still have a choice. Reveal the truth and free your people. Or hide it, and the cycle begins again." The light from the human fleet began to fade, pulling back toward the fog. "We will not destroy you, Serath of the Valari, but if your empire refuses to face its past, it will destroy itself." As the last of the light faded, a single object appeared floating before the ship, a small crystal sphere glowing faintly. Laura retrieved it with a drone. Inside the sphere were millions of data fragments, the entire history of both races. She turned to Serath. "Commander, this is everything. Proof the Council lied." Serath stared at the sphere. His heart was heavy. If he revealed this truth, the Empire would fall. Billions could die. But if he hid it, the lie would live forever. He whispered to himself, "Truth or survival? Which one matters more?" Outside, the fog began to fade, revealing stars once hidden. For the first time in centuries, this part of space looked alive again. Serath held the glowing sphere tightly. "The humans didn't come to destroy us," he said quietly. "They came to remind us who we were." He turned toward the crew. "Set a course for Valari Prime. We're going home." But deep inside, Serath knew, when they arrived, nothing would ever be the same again. The stars stretched endlessly before them as Vrax 7 moved out of the silent veil. For the first time in weeks, the crew could see the light of distant suns again. But none of them felt peace. Every mind on the ship was haunted by what they had seen, the truth that shattered everything they believed in. Commander Serath sat alone in his quarters, the crystal sphere glowing softly in front of him. It pulsed with blue light, almost like a heartbeat. Inside it were voices, human and Valari, speaking together, singing, building, dreaming. It wasn't just data. It was history. A living memory of two races that once trusted each other. He reached out and touched the surface. The moment his fingers brushed it, a faint hologram appeared, a human woman recorded long ago. Her eyes were tired but kind. "If you are seeing this, it means the veil has fallen. We wanted peace, not power, but truth was our greatest weapon and our greatest curse." Serath whispered, "Who were you?" "My name is Captain Mira Solon, last commander of the Human Alliance fleet. Tell your people we never wanted the stars to burn." The hologram faded away, leaving Serath alone again with his thoughts on the bridge. Laura and Corrin argued quietly. "We can't go back to Valari Prime," Corrin said. "The Council will see this as treason. They'll destroy the ship before we even reach orbit." Laura shook her head. "Then what do we do? Hide forever? Let the lie continue?" Corrin sighed. "You think they'll listen to us? To one ship?" Serath entered the bridge just then, calm but firm. "They will listen," he said, "because we're not the same Valari who left." He stood before the viewing screen and looked out at the stars. "The truth has been buried for centuries. It's time to uncover it, no matter the cost." Laura nodded slowly. "Then we'll stand with you, Commander." The others followed, one by one. None of them smiled, but their eyes showed determination. They knew this mission would likely be their last. "Course set for Valari Prime," said the pilot quietly. "Estimated arrival in 20 hours. As the ship entered hyperspace, strange things began to happen. The crystal sphere glowed brighter each hour, as if reacting to something ahead. Laura studied its readings. "It's transmitting energy waves," she said. "Almost like it's calling out. Calling out to what?" Serath asked. She hesitated. Maybe not what, but who? Then the ship's sensors caught something impossible, energy signatures forming behind them, familiar yet alien. Corran checked the monitor and froze. "Commander, they're following us." The lightships, the humans, Serath turned. Through the rear window, the stars rippled as glowing shapes moved through hyperspace, silent, graceful, shining like souls. "They're not attacking," Laura whispered. "They're escorting us," Serath nodded slowly. "They want to make sure the truth reaches home." When Vrac 7 dropped out of hyperspace, the world of Valari Prime filled the screen. Blue oceans, silver continents, and thousands of orbiting ships forming a defense grid around the planet. Immediately, a message came through from the planetary command. "Unidentified vessel, transmit clearance code or be destroyed." Serath's voice was steady. "This is Commander Serath of Vrac 7. Request immediate audience with the High Council." There was a long silence. Then another voice, cold and official, replied, "Vrac 7 was declared lost weeks ago. You will stand down and prepare for inspection." Serath exchanged a look with Laura. "If they board us, they'll destroy the sphere." "Then we can't let them," she said. Outside, the defense ships began to move, hundreds of them, forming a blockade. Suddenly the space around Vrac 7 flashed. Dozens of glowing human ships appeared, surrounding the Valari fleet. The command channel erupted with alarms. "Unknown entities detected. Defensive formation." Valari ships opened fire, beams of light slicing through the void, but the human vessels didn't fight back. They simply absorbed the energy, shimmering brighter with every hit. Serath's voice rang across all channels. "Stop firing! They're not here to destroy you!" But no one listened. The Council's voice came through next, filled with anger. "Commander Serath, you will surrender at once. You have brought enemies into our skies." Serath stood tall. "No, Counselor. I brought the truth." He activated the sphere. A blinding wave of blue light spread across the system, unstoppable, peaceful, pure. Every communication channel, every screen on every ship, every city on Valari Prime, all began to play the same thing, the lost history. The recordings, the lies, the betrayal, the truth was out across the planet. Millions watched in silence as the faces of their ancestors appeared, Valari and human, standing together before the war. Then came the final image, the Valari High Council giving the order to destroy the humans. The truth struck like thunder, panic, anger, grief. The Empire trembled. On the bridge, Serath watched it all unfold. His crew stood speechless. Laura whispered, "It's done." "They know." But then the alarms returned. The Council had ordered every defense ship to target Vrac 7. Corran shouted, "They're locking weapons." Serath didn't move. He stared at the planet glowing below. "If we die today, we die as truth-bearers." He closed his eyes, waiting for the end, but instead of fire, there was silence. The human lightships moved between Vrac 7 and the Valari fleet, forming a barrier of radiant energy. Their voices echoed once more. "No more blood. No more lies." The Valari weapons deactivated. One by one, the ships began to stand down. On Valari Prime, the people were speaking, not with fear, but with awakening. Serath looked at the human lights. "You protected us." "Not you," the voice replied softly. "The truth." The light around the ships began to fade as they prepared to leave. "Our time is gone, Serath. Yours begins now. Keep the truth alive." And with that, the human lights vanished, leaving behind a silent, trembling empire, facing itself for the first time in centuries. Serath looked down at the sphere, now dim and still. "We're not just defenders anymore," he said quietly. "We're witnesses." The world of Valari Prime had never been so silent. For the first time in 1,000 years, the streets of the great cities were filled not with celebration, not with parades, but with questions. The truth had spread faster than fire. Every citizen, soldier, and scholar had seen the recordings, the peace treaty, the betrayal, the war that was never meant to happen. The Empire stood exposed. In the skies above, Vrac 7 remained in orbit. its crew watching history unfold below. Commander Serath stood by the viewing window, eyes fixed on the planet that had once been the heart of his loyalty. Now it felt like a stranger. He could see smoke rising from the cities, not from war, but from rebellion. The people were no longer afraid. Laura joined him quietly. "It's spreading," she said. "The truth has broken the Council's control. Whole fleets are refusing orders." Serath nodded slowly. "They'll try to hold power. They always do. But the people won't believe their lies anymore." Corran entered the bridge, looking tired but hopeful. "Commander, messages are coming in from other sectors. They're asking if it's true, if the humans really survived." Serath smiled faintly. "Tell them yes. Tell them the humans remember us, and they forgave us." Down on the surface, chaos and awakening moved side by side. Crowds gathered before the great council spire, shouting for answers. Soldiers who once served the Empire's lies now stood beside citizens, their weapons lowered, unsure which side they belonged to anymore. Inside the spire, the High Council met in fear. Councillor Dren, the eldest among them, slammed his hand on the table. "This cannot be allowed. The fleet must destroy Vrax 7, erase the evidence before it spreads further." Another councillor, younger, looked away. "It's too late. The whole galaxy knows. Even our allies are questioning us." Dren's voice rose, trembling with anger. "Then we silence them all. We still have the Dominion fleet." But the others did not move. For the first time in centuries, the council had lost control. Their own guards no longer listened. A soldier stepped forward. "Councillor, by order of the people, you are under arrest." The great doors opened. Light poured in, and the Empire's shadow began to fall. Above the planet, Serath watched as the council's signal went dark. Laura turned to him, voice soft but amazed. "It's over, isn't it?" He shook his head slowly. "No, it's beginning." He activated the communication system and spoke across all frequencies, his voice reaching every ship, every colony, every world under Valari rule. "This is Commander Serath of Vrax 7. The truth has been revealed. The human Valari War was built on lies. We were enemies because they wanted us afraid. But now, we have a choice." He paused, letting the silence carry his words. "We can keep fighting shadows, or we can build something greater together. The humans showed us mercy when we gave them war. It's time we earn it." The channel stayed open. Across the Empire, ships powered down their weapons. Cities lit their skylines in blue, the color of unity. Laura wiped a tear from her cheek. "Do you think they can hear us? The humans?" Serath looked toward the stars. "They can. They're watching." Days passed. The old empire collapsed, but from its ashes rose something new. A coalition of worlds, free from lies, began rebuilding what had been broken. And at the heart of it all was the Vrax 7, the ship that carried the truth. The crew became legends, not as warriors, but as witnesses. Serath spent most of his time aboard the ship, now orbiting a neutral moon where peace delegates met. He would watch the sunrise every day, remembering the light ships that once surrounded them. Laura joined him one morning, carrying the crystal sphere. Its glow was faint now, fading with time. "It's losing power," she said quietly. "The data's almost gone." Serath smiled. "That's all right. We don't need it anymore. The truth lives in us now." She placed the sphere beside him and looked out at the stars. "Do you think the humans will ever come back?" Serath's eyes softened. "Maybe they already have, not in ships or light, but in what we've become." That night, as Vrax 7 drifted in the calm of space, something stirred in the darkness beyond, a faint shimmer, like a ripple through the void. Then slowly a beam of blue light appeared, distant but bright. Laura gasped. "Commander, look!" Serath turned toward the window. The light expanded, taking shape, not a fleet this time, but a single form. A symbol of two intertwined rings, human and Valari, glowing above the stars, the same symbol that once marked the Unity Treaty long ago. A voice echoed through the ship, soft and distant, familiar. "You kept your promise. The dawn is yours now." Then the light faded, leaving only the stars, brighter than ever. Serath smiled. "Goodbye, old friends." he whispered. As the sun rose over Valari Prime, people everywhere looked up, feeling a peace they had never known. The Empire was gone. The truth had won. And from that day forward, the humans were not myths, not ghosts, but a reminder that forgiveness can outlast war. The story of Vrax 7, the ship that dared to find the truth.